Welcome to the fourth episode of Beyond Insights. I'm joined today by Laurika Steenekamp, who's going to talk to us a bit about the accounting shortage and challenges with recruiting accountants, both for accounting firms and for businesses. Very popular topic I've discussed on a lot of other podcasts. But I thought we could add a bit more of your experience and a little bit of the South African experience, as well as things that we've seen that our customers at SIFT have struggled with in the US and other places around the world. So if you haven't joined our previous episodes, I should probably start by introducing myself. I'm Alex Hoffman, SIFT's engagement manager. And as I've said, this is Laurika. So maybe do you want to introduce yourself a little bit and why you're here today?
Oh, sure. I would love to do that. Thank you for having me. It's lovely being on your podcast. Lovely to be here so early when it's still at the under 10 episodes. Always nice to be part of something new. My name is Laurika Steenekamp, as Alex mentioned. I head up the outsourcing business at SIFT Analytics. I grew up in I almost said a small town. It isn't a small town. It is actually quite a large town. And we had a lot of mines there and farms and industry, just such a diverse place to grow up in, a lot of things that can pique your interest. And that's actually sort of a reason why I ended up becoming an accountant. That, and of course, my grandfather, also an accountant, whenever he used to work, he just made me sit there and do little calculations on his adding machine, and I loved it. And I thought any job where you can just do calculations the entire day can't be so bad. So
very different from my childhood.
It was only when I was visiting my grandparents. I wasn't allowed to use a calculator at home.
Okay,
only mental mathematics. Yeah, only mental mathematics at home. Yes, and I think my mum would tell you that the first time she knew for real that I was going to become an accountant was when I got the opportunity to visit a petrochemical factory towards the end of my high schooling career. Loved it, was really, really intrigued by the concept. And my mum works in the industry as well. And the only thing that I asked her after the site visit was what it cost to build the entire factory. Like, I don't know.
I was thinking that was your takeaway.
Exactly. I didn't care much about the pipes and the things in the pipes. I cared about what it costs to build it there. So I think clear indicator that I'm not fit for engineering. So decided on a different route. So I am a chartered accountant in South Africa. That is my training. I studied at the University of Pretoria, and thereafter I completed my articles at a Big Four here in Joburg. And then I worked as an accountant at a firm, and I worked as a lecturer, and now I'm at SIFT.
So, yes, and Laurika is heading up SIFT Outsourcing, which is a new branch of SIFT.
Yes, very exciting.
And so you've been involved in a lot of recruitment for SIFT Outsourcing, which is obviously why you are here speaking on this topic. But I was wondering, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've been facing?
Phew. I think there are quite a few. I think to start with, when you look at your application process, a lot of people don't streamline their applications at all. So we would get, let's say, 500 applicants, but they don't necessarily read the job spec before they send in their CVs. And I think there is something to applying for jobs that you feel you're not entirely qualified for. I think it's not a bad thing, but you should maybe just ensure that you are an accountant if you are applying for an accountant job. Yeah, good first.
Sort of doing your research, knowing what job you're applying for, a little bit about the company.
Yes, exactly, that sort of thing. And then what happens after we've now identified you as an individual that we would like to speak to, you might be very keen at the start, so you apply really quickly, and then you don't respond to my emails or my calls. So I sort of get that as the young people, and I'm including myself in this group of young people, would say they ghost you, which is an interesting concept to me. I don't really get it. I've never once applied for a job that I didn't actually want.
It doesn't make sense. You've gone to the trouble, at least some trouble, of sending out your CV, and then you just ghost the recruiters.
Yeah, you don't want to speak to them after. So that has been causing some problems, because you think you have a lot of talent, and then your pipe is quite dry. Actually, that can happen. And another thing that happens is you have them in the process, but then they tap out quite close to the end. And I don't ever blame anyone for doing this, because I think sometimes you need to understand whether you would like to be with the employer as well. It's not a one-way relationship, it's a two-way relationship, and you need to confirm that it would be a good fit for you. So I totally understand that, but sometimes a heads up would be nice. But I think how we try and solve that is to just start with as many applicants as possible, and then
and then you have time to sift through all of them and figure out. It's funny because we're talking about ghosting, and it's a two-sided relationship. It sounds a lot like recruitment is like dating.
100%. In my experience, at least, yes, very much, very, very similar. Another thing that I think we struggle with quite a bit is some people are not really, how can I say, they don't do their market research well on salary specifically. So they come in really, really high. And of course, when you are moving jobs, you actually need the promotion, because you don't know when the next promotion cycle is, or when the next increase cycle is at your new job. So you obviously got for a little bit more money, but maybe just ask a few friends for their salary ranges.
A sense of the range.
Yes, because it makes you difficult to employ in the role that we have for you and for your experience, because we can't afford to pay you. We would love to pay you that, but we just can't. So I think those are the main challenges that I'm currently facing on a day-to-day basis.
And in terms of finding talent, where are the places that you look? Is LinkedIn one of them? Job boards? What do you find is, what are the dating app options for recruiting?
The dating app options, 100%. So I've heard some people say that LinkedIn can be used as a real life dating app as well. I've never personally tried it. Yes, but as far as talent goes, well, you can probably refer to the people you want to date as talent as well.
Sure.
I mean,
seeing if they will fit in with your own personal company culture.
Exactly. While we're on the analogy. So yes, to your question, we do use LinkedIn, and I think we've used it with success. It is a sort of marketplace for people in the industry, people who want a new job, recruiters who are looking for people who can do a new job. So we've gotten a lot of good responses there. We've gotten a lot of good talent there as well. And generally the people who apply via LinkedIn are quite, I want to say, tech savvy. So they answer their emails. It's a bit better.
It's already a good first step.
Exactly. And then obviously we have a job board on Sift Analytics on our website, where you can apply at any time for any open position, which I think is a great way to do so, because it's people who are already interested in your company. They already want to come here. They scroll down, they go to the effort to come and apply and find a job.
And they've heard of Sift before.
They've heard of Sift, which is always great. And I mean, I think just the most important part there is that your link should work.
Yes.
I actually ended up doing my articles at a firm that I wasn't expecting to do my articles at, because of the fact that I was struggling so much to apply to the one that I originally thought I was going to.
That's a very important thing for recruiters. You need your website, everything to be working, everything to be easy to find. You don't want to make applicants have to struggle to apply, because that already, as you said, it puts you off from the get-go. Why are you going to want to work there if it's so hard just to submit your CV?
Exactly. You don't really want that pressure. I think recruitment in general is a very difficult thing. Hiring talent is difficult. So I think you need to be able to commit to the time and the money and the investment that it takes. I think that's important. And I think if you're looking for someone specific, we've used recruiters with great success in the past. So you can be like, I'm looking for this very, very niche role. Please just help me to find someone. And that works. And then the other thing that we use at Sift quite often, which I think is a brilliant way, is referral, because we have people who are already great and they have friends or colleagues from a previous job, or maybe someone they studied with who we also expect to be great, and then they refer them, and they end up at Sift working with more great people. And I think you might
have both.
We were both referred. Not saying that we are now the greatest people but still great people referred us. There we go. That's how I want to frame.
And what do you think people want from a job? Is it just asking the deep questions here now?
What do you want out of this relationship?
Yes, exactly. Because if we're saying that you're interviewing them for the role, there's certain things you want from them, but there are also certain things that the applicant wants from the job. It might be to use the particular skills that they have, it might be to use the degree that they have, but it might be something else as well. So from your experience, what do you think that people are really looking for?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think because I mostly work in the accounting space, I've only ever had to interview accountants, bookkeepers, accounts payable clerks, those type of roles. So my knowledge on this question is very much related to only this realm. But yeah, skills. The thing is, because you're an accountant, you've trained as an accountant, you've spent all the time trying to become an accountant. So maybe you have the necessary degree or a relevant degree and you want to use that. So I haven't found a lot of people that stray very far from their specific university training in the accounting space.
That makes sense.
I'm not sure whether it's different in other industries, but in accounting, generally people were trained as accountants. So they stick to what they know. But I also think there's a drive to be employed at a company where you can use your skills. Obviously, we want to hire from a skill-centric perspective. We want people, we hire a person, we hire you, Alex, with your set of skills. And if we need to sort of maybe tailor the job spec a little bit to fit your set of skills better, we might just do that, because we want you as a person with all the value that you can add and you can bring. And I think you and Jody Lee were also speaking a little bit about transferable skills.
Yes.
And how exactly, and how that is such a nice thing to have and such an important thing to have. And I think it also in recruitment, it's the same discussion we're having. What skills can you bring to the table? What skills do we need? Because yes, we need you to be excellent at accounting and your day job, but we also maybe need you to manage people. We also need you to manage client relationships, and those things aren't included in your undergrad study.
Yeah, I think it's really actually at that Laurika and I went to a recruiters breakfast at Wits where they spoke quite a bit about this, and they were saying they're trying to prepare university students to be whole people, like fully rounded employees. So it's not just the degree they have and the specific like accounting skills they've learned. Obviously those are very important, but it's about how they interact with other people, how they're going to be able to talk to clients, how they're going to be able to work, collaborate, network, all those kind of things.
All those kind of things. So definitely I think skills and training important, yes. But the other thing that I've really seen, and it's true for me as well, is you want to work at a place where you feel the job that you have aligns with your personal values. You feel that the company's values aligns with your values. You feel that that does say that is how it should go. We're having a discussion, have some nice warm beverages. You want to feel that your colleagues' values align with yours. And I think you want to work at a place where you feel at home, where you feel safe. So definitely you should be able to find value in your job, because you want to add value to society, you want to add value to the company. And that is a very big thing for every individual, because we spend so much time at work and doing our jobs that it can't be something that we don't see the purpose of. It has to have meaning for us. Yeah.
And I think you want to know how you contribute to sort of the bigger picture 100%. Within your organization.
100%. And I think there also rests a little bit of responsibility on the employer to help the employee understand where they add value and why they add value and why we need you to do your job to the best of your ability, because then you can see the bigger picture as the employee. And I think it just makes work more enjoyable. We all want to have a fun time at work if we can.
But it's kind of something that I think we do very well at SIT, where once a month we have our first Friday meeting and everyone can see how they're contributing. All the different teams can see how they're contributing. So,
and at that meeting we can also see how the other teams, what they were up to this
actually do.
And I love that. You learn so much.
Because
I once thought I love hearing about people's jobs, and then I thought to myself, I don't actually know what most people do.
Yes.
You don't really know what they do on a day-to-day basis. And I think if you don't even know what your best friend does for a living, not really, it's very easy to lose yourself in a company where you're just focusing on your own job. You need to have that context.
And I think in the accounting space, especially, often candidates will look at jobs as a kind of stepping stone.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. How do you find this sort of appealing to candidates who might not stay forever, or who maybe will want to move to a different role within the organization?
I think the stepping stone is the exact correct, like the terminology is perfect. That's exactly what it is. A lot of accountants are like this. I can't say that I'm entirely not like this. I think most people do that because you obviously want to grow in your career and grow in your role and grow in your responsibility, and you want to become better and better and better. And sometimes you need to make a move to do that. And I think I have no problem whatsoever with people moving roles in an organization, because as we spoke about earlier, we're hiring a holistic person. We're hiring the full Alex. And if Alex first did XYZ for us, but she can now do ABC and help us in that space, why not?
And that way you're also, you're keeping her.
Exactly. We're retaining the talent we want. Whether it be a horizontal or vertical move, it doesn't really matter, because we still have the great people that we started with, which I think is just very important. If you can retain talents that you need and want, it doesn't really matter if they're adding value in another silo of your business. It doesn't make a difference.
They're still adding value.
Exactly. And you're not getting less value from a person because they're doing another job. You're probably getting the same or even more, depending on how you can leverage them in the other position.
Sure. And also if they're much happier, they're probably going to be more productive.
Exactly. And then I think also just sometimes there comes a point where we've exhausted all your vertical and horizontal moves, and there's just nothing that the company can offer for you anymore. And it's sad, because maybe we still want to keep you, but we can't offer you the opportunity you need
to keep growing.
And then we do
an exit interview.
But a conscious uncoupling, as they would say in the tabloids. There we go, not a divorce.
I love that we're just keeping the analogy going forever.
We're trying, commit.
No commitment issues.
No commitment. There we go.
This is why we're not comedians.
Yes.
That's not an
100%.
avenue that we're going to be moving into.
Your accounting was more of a process of elimination for me. Like no comedians, no engineering. Literally.
Good to know what you don't like or aren't good.
That is a way to see it, yes.
And in terms of hiring sort of different age demographics, how do you go about that, being one of the younger ones, as you said, as a younger recruiter?
Yes. I think the first time I ever interviewed someone older than myself, the lady was about 30 years older than I was, so quite a large gap for anyone. And she was nearing the end of her career, and I was very much at the start of mine. But I was very fortunate that the interview went really well, and she really, really sort of eased me into having to interview her, which I really appreciated. So I had a good first experience, which always helps. And going forward, I try to just keep that in mind, that the context was really important. She knew that she was speaking to someone who's a bit nervous because of the fact that she's not interviewing someone who could have been her mum.
Yes.
And she kept that in mind, and she created a comfortable situation for me. So I've been trying to do that ever since. And I try to place myself in their shoes just a little bit. Just think about the context of their lives. If I know their age, because generally you do, it's on the CV normally, or you can see when they studied or when they matriculated or finished high school. So you have an idea of their age. And I try to think of people in my own life who are that age, and I try to think where they are in their lives and what they would need. And if we can see that you are, let's say, a working parent, it might be really important to you to know that you are able to work remotely or work in a hybrid environment. It might be really important to you to understand the family responsibility leave. If you are thinking of having children, you might need to understand the parental leave and how it works on maternity or paternity leave, that type of thing. So I try to just create some context for myself, and then also try and frame the discussion a little bit around it. And then obviously always just ask whether they have questions, because you can't think of everything.
It's all just about that respectful engagement.
100%, 100%. And I think I've been very fortunate in my career that everyone I've interviewed, everyone has treated me with lots of respect, and I also try and treat the people with as much respect as I can. So
and something you kind of touched on there was remote working and kind of flexible work environments. So this topic's been a bit done to death, I know, since COVID.
We're doing it as well. We're doing it as it's still relevant.
It's still relevant. It is still a thing that now people have an expectation. They've gotten used to their life, or how would I say, not their work fitting around their life rather than their life fitting around their work. And is that something that you've encountered with a few people you've interviewed?
Yes, a little bit. I think they love like 1 or 2 working from home days, which I completely understand, because you can get the washing done. It's such a simple thing, but your life is so much easier if you don't have to do all your washing on the weekend.
Yeah, you can get all your admin done in between things.
Yes, because you can still, let's say, spend 10 hours in total from starting your workday to ending your workday, and the 2 hours you have in between to just get some admin things done. You can phone the insurance company that's been on your list for 7 weeks because they're only available in working hours. You can do all of those things while still completing a full day's worth of work. So people love to work remotely some days, which I, as I say, completely understand. Do you like it? Do you like your little?
I like my work from home Wednesdays. We have once a week. No, it's very nice. Also, it's like a break from the office environment. I can wear my pajamas the whole day if I want to.
Yeah, and it just creates some new headspace, new ideas. It helps to move environments every now and again. And then you're very happy about everyone on Thursday again.
Yes. I love seeing everyone on Thursday again.
That's why we're doing this on a Thursday.
Yeah, you know?
Alex, a day to recover.
Exactly. Trying to remember what my other questions I had for you.
You have a whole list. I love it.
Of course, I got to come prepared. Something about retention now, because of course you don't only want to hire people, you want them to stay in your company.
Yes.
What would you recommend to people in terms of keeping the talent that they found?
Well, I think the first thing, once again, going to the relationship analogy, you shouldn't force them to be there.
Always a good policy in life.
You want them to want to be there.
Yes.
But it's not as easy to do that, right? Because you're trying to create a loving environment. You're trying to create a space where they feel comfortable and safe and willing and able to work to the rest of their abilities. You want to create all of that, but it's not easy to do so because every individual is different, right? Yes. So what I think is important, and we spoke about it a little before, is the employee needs to understand the bigger picture. They need to understand where they fit in the organization and why they fit in and why they're important. Because the moment someone feels important, and not self-important, just a little, like what they do matters.
Yes.
The moment
it makes a difference.
It makes a difference because it does.
Yes.
It really does. It doesn't matter who goes on leave. The moment they're gone, you're like, where is this person? I actually needed him for this thing, this very specific thing that I didn't know he did. But now I know, and now I miss him, and he needs to come back to work. You know, that sort of, you need to know that you are adding value. And I think there's a responsibility on employers to tell people what they are doing is important, because it is.
Assume that employees know how important they are. Sometimes you have to tell them.
Yeah, exactly. Just tell them, great job. This is a good thing that you did, and just give them the big picture. And then I think what's also important, and they say it's a trend among Gen Z, but I think this has been true forever. You need growth.
Yes.
There needs to be growth opportunities. And we spoke about moving vertically, moving horizontally. Maybe the growth opportunities dry up like along the way or down the line. That's possible.
Yeah.
But you should have an active discussion about how growth works and how the opportunities will work, and engage with the employee.
Yes.
Because involve them. Obviously, there's a set list of things that you want them to learn and how they should grow, but ask them what they want to learn, just a little bit, and see if you can align.
Upskill themselves.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to do everything for them, but just give
No.
them the opportunity.
Yes.
That they can upskill themselves.
Yes, it's actually better to not do everything for them, because you don't take anything away from it.
Yes.
You don't really learn when you don't care, right? So if there's something that the employee cares about and that the employer can offer, I think that's a great fit. Obviously, it's not a perfect system. We can't always do it, but it helps to just have a discussion on what would you like to learn next, and why do you think it's important, and how do you think it can add value to your current role or the future role you see yourself in the organization.
Yes.
I've had a few of those discussions in my life, and it really has helped me just to determine and streamline the process a little bit. And then I think a flexible work environment is great.
Yes.
We spoke about a working from home day, a bit of remote working, all of those things, just to make the employee's life a bit easier. That helps. And what else? Retain the talent. What do we need?
We need to move on to one last pressing question. Just because we mentioned it at the beginning, but what all of this comes back to is the accountant shortage.
Yes.
And the pipeline problem.
Yes.
And Laurika actually yesterday, or it was this morning, sent me an article about some of the changes that are being made in the US about what accountants will study, how long it will take them to be qualified as CPAs. But I know that this is, I mean, the fact that they are considering this means that it's a serious issue.
Yeah.
So I wanted your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think absolutely a serious issue. Everyone we've spoken with is saying it's a dry pipeline. No one wants to study accounting. No one wants to be in the accounting space. It's very scary. I can't imagine anyone not wanting to be an accountant. I love my job. But I think it's a bit of a problem in some territories. I think in South Africa, we're still quite fortunate, but we also need to take care of how we manage that going forward. And I think a thing that we should do, because we've not done this enough in the past, we need to make accounting fun.
Yes.
It needs to be a fun experience. People don't like accounting because there are so many stereotypes about accountants and accounting and how it's boring.
Yes, exactly.
And it is boring if you don't know it. It's a lot of fun if you do know it.
But it's also, I think, if you're taking on the latest technology, then a lot of the more boring tasks you can actually outsource to technology, and then you get to do more. Yeah.
Yes,
valuable,
like value. Yeah, exactly. So definitely. We have a lot of projects at SIFT with high schoolers, with university students, where we try and catch them so that they can take accounting as a course in school and in university. We get them when they're 15 so that they can be accountants in 10 years. We do a lot of, I recently actually went to a university where we did a bit of a lecture on what I do in a day and how SIFT works, just to create context. Because when I was in my final year of high school, I did vacation work for a week with an audit firm in my town. And I remember it so clearly, and I'm very embarrassed by this fact, but I asked the principal partner there, or the managing partner, what the difference was between a chartered accountant and an auditor. Because I didn't know at the time. And by that time, I had taken 5 years of accounting. I was already enrolled to go and study to become a chartered accountant. My grandfather was an accountant, as I mentioned. So I had that context.
It just never came up.
It never came up. I never thought about it. And I considered myself quite well informed. And yet I was so uninformed about the basic things. And it's because I never asked anyone, but I didn't even know that I needed to ask.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of space for accountants to actually talk about what accounting looks like in the real world. Like, if I think about my experience, I didn't take accounting the whole way through high school. I did it until I was 15. I thought it seemed kind of boring. I thought my teacher was not very interesting. It didn't excite me. All I knew was debits and credits, and that we had to write everything in pencil. And that was my understanding of accounting as a high school student.
Exactly. And you might have been interested to take it up until the end of high school if there had come someone to your school to say, listen, this is what I do. on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
This is my job. This is what's fun. So I think I spend a lot of time telling people how much I love accounting, ad nauseum almost. I don't think I think most people don't appreciate it, but I do try to engage with people like friends, children, or maybe if you teach a Sunday school class, or maybe you have a book club with friends who have children, or just be open to having that conversation. And if it's within your scope and possible for you, go and speak to a university class for 10 minutes, or go and tell a high school class, listen, it's actually quite fun to be an accountant. So I think we have a responsibility there. And as you said, embracing the technology. We have so much technology on offer, and I think a lot of people are scared that it will be taking our jobs.
Yes.
But I think it'll actually just help improve our jobs. Just make it easier for us.
And another thing to add, not on how to make accounting cooler, but just on Alex already got that down.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you.
Laurika's got a course coming out soon.
That is true.
I'll have to add it to the show notes when it's out. But the other thing, of course, if you're really struggling to find accounting talent, is you can outsource your talent, which is
the space we're in.
100%.
So as I said, we're fortunate in South Africa. We do need to manage our pipe, but we do have a lot of lovely, talented people here.
Yes.
So SIFT Outsourcing operates in the employer of record space, which means that we employ the people in South Africa for you, and you can just ask us for them, and you interview them, you treat them as if they were your own. They form part of your team, and they can add massive value to your organization, in my opinion, because we train our accountants really well.
Yes.
And we can hopefully solve the shortage in the short term.
And in the long term, we just spread the good word of how cool accounting is.
Yes, but we'll be doing that this side as well. So we'll have the pipe ready. Tell people, tell your
maybe
friends.
More affordable with our exchange rate. So there's always that as well.
Definitely. And nice time zone. So many benefits.
You know.
Please contact us if you have questions.
Check out the outsourcing website.
Let me just sell our business a little bit.
But anything else you think that our listeners should take away about the accounting pipeline, recruitment, and retaining your most talented staff?
No, I think all of it boils down to honesty, from shooting from the hip.
Yeah.
So be honest about what you're offering, be honest about what you need, and be honest with the people who want to become accountants. Tell them how it is.
Yes.
and how it will be. And I think that
the same can be said for your Tinder profile. Just bring everything back to our analogy.
Be
Apply
honest.
what you would in recruitment to dating and vice versa. Be honest.
Yes.
And honesty is the best policy.
100%. Can't agree more.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Beyond Insights.
Well, it was lovely. Thank you for the invite, Alex. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
And thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Insights podcast.
Please like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to right now.
And please share with any of your colleagues or friends or family members that you think might benefit from listening to this podcast.
That's all from us. Until next time, see you then.